The private company index tracks monthly revenue trends from the use of goods and services for private companies throughout North America. Many financial professionals who previously had only watched public companies on Wall Street are sitting up and paying attention to what's going on in the private sector, thanks to the PCI. With me now to talk about it is Chief Executive and founder of Entrex, which created and maintains the PCI, Stephen Watkins. Steve, thanks for coming in this morning. All right, what is the PCI?
Well, the PCI is simply an index of private companies. It sounds simple, but our marketplace is designed around $1 to $100 million revenue companies. So these are people that will never get to Wall Street. And so our focus is to say, how do we get exposure and credibility to these individuals? How do we get them known by Wall Street so they can find, track, manage, and research these guys?
Okay, so for what goal? For what point? Why track private companies?
Well, I think if you look at the GDP, Peter, 50% of it is made by these small, medium enterprises. Probably 75% of employment and creation is done by these enterprises. So we need Wall Street to say, how do we provide a vehicle for capital that ultimately can access these companies?
So you have private companies that are giving you their private information so they can be part of this index?
Yep.
For comparables and things like that? Or?
Exactly. So we break it down geographically, by industry, same way you do on Wall Street, same way you break it down by S&P indices or any of the different indices that the public market compares.
So if I'm at, say, a publicly traded food company like ConAgra, and I look at your index, what do I get out of it?
Well, let me go a different direction,
okay,
if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
Let me suggest that you take a look at the agricultural index, if there is one, and you would compare that to ConAgra.
All right, to see to compare ConAgra to the private sector and see which one works better.
Exactly.
Right.
So now you have the ability as a professional investor to look at the private company market space.
Gotcha. Okay. And you told me when we were off camera, just about to come over, that eventually there's going to be some way for investors to get into this index that you've created. How is that?
What we've done is similar to what happens in the financial markets today for public companies, is we've now created something called a private company composite index, which is an investable index, which allows you to invest in 1,000 diversified companies on an income base. It's really interesting. We take a piece of the top line versus the bottom line. Really, since the stock is not trading, we look at taking income from their revenue that allows the investors to receive income for their investment. And it's going to be across, like I said, these 1,000 companies, and it's going to be an investable product.
When is that going to happen, and how will people be able to get in on the action, if you will, if they're interested?
Of course, we're just starting right now. We're investing in 40 companies, $1 million apiece. That'll be done this calendar year, and next year we expect to take that to the next level, potentially a public offering.
So, what kind of companies are we talking about? The first 40?
They're going to be a diverse group. Their average revenue is about $17 million. So they're nice, sizable companies. Have been in business 5 years, 90%.
Any names that we would know, or?
I'm not at liberty right now, I'm sorry to say. Right. Next visit.
Okay. All right, Steve Watkins, thanks for coming in to talk about the PCI.
Good to be here.